exceptions can be thrown within Python, which means that if something was to have an error, like we saw earlier with the tuple example, then if something wasn't working and it did throw the error, you could actually catch the error and give a more user-friendly response because of the way that it worked. And the way we do that is with something called try and catch. So the example I'm going to use, I'm going to have the tuple here, which goes from 1 to 5, and I am going to add in a value of 6 by doing tuple.append, and I'm just going to add the value 6 there. Now if we try and run this, we get an attribute error. As you can see here, we get attribute error and then tuple object has no attribute append. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually do a try, and we have to indent this. And some languages use catch, we have to use except, and what we have here is we have a print, and we're just going to do error formed. And what we can do with this, what code we actually want it to happen, if it does work, is we can put it inside of an else statement, and so we can have that run. Not too sure what happened then. Okay, anyway, so here we have error formed, which is the print message that we set if it doesn't work. So if the try doesn't work, it goes to except, and that is what happens. Now, if you were to create your own function, you can actually raise your own problems which might appear from something like that. So by an error in the way in which you're trying to access it, for example, or if you're trying to read a file and you send over a file name which doesn't exist, or the extension's wrong, that sort of idea, then you can create multiple exceptions, and with those exceptions what you can do is you can catch them using the except, and you can have a more specialized answer, and this is going to be attribute error as E, and E is just a standard what people use for errors. And so here what we're going to do is just do something similar to that, and now what we see is we get error formed, tuple object has no attribute append. So that's a more reader friendly way of doing given an error than the 4 lines that we had appear beforehand when we were using the without the append and without the try except else. Now there's something else which you can also do, and with else you can get rid of that if you don't want it, and you can drag all of this up to be in the same area as your try, because as soon as it runs into a problem, that is when the exception is thrown, not at the end of the try. So as soon as it reaches the append, it will stop it and go to the exception. It won't try and run this for loop, so we've got no worries about this actually happening or trying to do anything. So now if we just comment out this line, we won't receive any errors, and so we'll just get 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we can see that that's working exactly as it should do, and if we again run it as it was before, we get error formed, tuple object has no attribute append. So we can also have multiple exceptions to be caught. So we could do exception, and we could do something like import output error, which is more to do with error to do with files handling, but we could still do file not found, and then throw that exception as well. And E is just a standard letter which you'll use for exceptions. Most people will use this letter because you don't really need it anywhere else within a code, because single letter variables usually aren't used except for shorthand such as this. So that is how you can try and catch exceptions, and when we move on to functions later on, I'll show you how you can raise your own exceptions as well.